Gardner-Webb head coach Cris Reisert, team coming off a road loss at UT Martin this past week. This is their open day. They'll be back in action when they host Lindenwood in 2 weeks. So, Coach, I guess just first of all, some thoughts on the last game, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, disappointing. Unfortunately, didn't do enough to win. I thought Tennessee Martin played a nice game and put us in some situations we didn't want to be in, and it ultimately came away with the win. And for us, it's just the bye week I think is coming at a good time. I think being able to kind of refocus, recenter ourselves has been a bit of a whirlwind in the first 6 weeks, and as a football team, just to focus on us and focus on our processes and our togetherness and our continuity and our will to win. I think those are things that we've got to refine and we've got to talk about. We've got to connect on. And I'm still encouraged by what we have and what I believe we can be. But ultimately, we're a results-oriented business, and we got to be able to get it to come to the surface.
How do you use this time then? How do you adjust? And is it different? Is this year's Gardner-Webb team different than teams you've had in the past, and how you'll give them practice and lesser days, and how's that all work?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I've not been in this situation before where you're not winning football games, and so it's hard. I think it's a taxing environment on everybody. And so, the one thing for me is, we are a point the thumb organization, not the finger. And so we've just got to be able to look inward. We've got to own, the first 6 weeks of our season, reflect on it, study everything. And you don't study everything to change everything. You study everything to get intel on how you can improve. One of our core values is Kaizen and means continuous improvement. And that's synonymous to where we're at right now. We just got to keep getting better. And I think our players understand that, this is a situation where we've got to stay united. We've got to stay connected, and we've got to play really hard and practice really well to get ourselves out of the little bit of slump that we're in. And so it's certainly different in the sense of, like, we have, I think, a different mindset right now than maybe, our last bye at Tiffin, we were 11-0, right? And so at that point, you're just preparing to kind of keep status quo, right? And now you're preparing to find ways to continue to evolve and continue to increase the output that we're achieving right now.
How much of that is, you mentioned, looking internally to you too? How do you handle it different with different players? Some people may respond to, like, I need some more physical time off. Some of it may be more mental. How does all that work, sort of?
Yeah, I think it's a loaded scenario, right? I think we try and be empathetic to where each guy's at, but at some point, there's a job to do and the job needs to be done. And I think we've all got to be on the same page to be able to accomplish that. And so we certainly are able to meet guys' needs in terms of, hey, he needs a day here, with it being a bye week and he's been busting his tail, for 6 weeks and has never taken a play off. That's a different situation than maybe another guy that hadn't played a ton of football that, we just got to help him continue to get better. And so our thing is just let's put the hard hat back on and let's get to work and let's find ways to evolve. And for us, it's just got to be a higher sense of purpose into our process and worry less about results and outcomes and worry more about just the day-to-day and the steps that we took to be successful humans, to be successful football players, students. All of that stuff's going to play into winning. You just can't focus on what's going to happen on Saturday. You got to focus on what happens every day.
I also look back to the last game just for one question about, what about your running game? It seemed, just looking at the numbers, Edward seemed to have a good day. I know he was a nominee for Offensive Player of the Week, and Carson scored another touchdown. What did you think about the rushing attack against?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we ran the ball well. I think it's one of the better defensive fronts, and certainly in our league, and I think in probably the country. We ran the ball well in a lot of ways, and we were one guy away in a lot of ways, and that's part of what we'll show with our team today is just kind of the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and not to cast blame, but to cast enlightenment on, like, hey, this is how fickle this game is, and to educate them on why it is so important to strain and to finish every rep and to be locked in and to be focused, and because those things matter. And I think what you saw with Edward was we connected on some really big runs. He broke some big tackles, and I think we had a few others that, man, you're a guy away, and that's a different football game. And we've got to be able to round out, our offensive performance and put the ball in the end zone. We're not having as much trouble moving the ball as we are playing on third down and getting the ball in the end zone. And so that's really a focal point for us this week.
And then just looking, you finish this bye week and you go back to games. You've only had 2 home games out of your first 6. You're going to see more home games down the
It's good.
stretch. And yeah, so like, I mean, just that to look forward to, but the opponents are also tough as well. So I don't
Yeah.
know if there's a thought about that. Like, at least you do have some more at home down the stretch.
The only thought I have is we just got to keep improving as a football team. We got to keep staying together and we got to keep fighting and keep finding ways every day to evolve. And so it doesn't matter who we play. It doesn't matter. We could play the Dallas Cowboys. We could play Little Sisters of the Poor. If we don't if we don't take care of Gardner-Webb and make sure that Gardner-Webb is shored up, then it's irrelevant the opponent. And so we're just super focused on us and on our processes and making sure that we have the right energy and the right focus and the right mindset in the building. And that enables us to have success throughout the bye week. And then, whoever it is we play going in after the bye week, let's focus on just Gardner-Webb. And on Saturday, we'll play a team in a different color jersey and we'll see what happens. So just trying to be very micro in our focus and not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Well, that's perfect, Coach. Well, appreciate the time. Hope everything goes well in those preparations for the game in 2 weeks, and then we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Ben. See you.